Assalamu alaikum viewers, a very warm welcome to all of you. You're watching Hidayat TV. I'm Haider with another episode of Generation Gap, and today we will be covering again Pakistani elections 2013. We are joined Adnan Rafiq, PhD student from Oxford University. He's a candidate at the Department of Politics and International Relations. He also holds an MPhil degree from University of Cambridge, social and political writer. And from Karachi, we're joined by Shakir Rajani, Majlis-e-Bazil Muslimin candidate from Karachi constituency PS 117. Assalamu alaikum to both. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me start with you, Adnan. How do you see the overall political landscape in Pakistan at the moment?
Well, I think it's quite positive in a sense that after a long period, it's the first time we going to an elections where the change will hopefully be brought through people's vote. There is a democratic transition going on. Mm-hmm. So it's the first in Pakistan's history, and so on that note, it's quite positive. On the other hand, of course, there have been issues with respect to governance and other issues which I think the coming government will have to tackle. So there are massive challenges as well, but I think overall there are some positives as well.
Okay, let me speak to Shakir. What is your stance? How do you see being in Pakistan? What is your reaction to the upcoming elections?
Yes, definitely. I'll second Adnan for this thing. But the thing is that if this question would be asked last 1 year before, the situation was completely different at that time. But really I realize, and we all people realize here, that what exactly the importance of politics is, and people are now becoming aware of their value of the vote exactly, and the youth this time is coming out and they are taking part in the politics. It's a very good sign, alhamdulillah, here. And really, if this election is even not going to change the political environment so much, but this change itself is a big change for us, that you are now aware their responsibilities as well, and they know the factors exactly that what right now they have in their hand, and if they are not going to do anything for Pakistan now, and then if they are not coming forward now, then it will be very difficult to save Pakistan even, because we are in a position right now where
so is it now or never situation for Pakistanis?
Yes, really.
Okay, Adnan, what is? How do you see it? Is it now or never? Do you see a free and fair election happening in Pakistan?
Well, I think yes, with the empowered election commission and proactive judiciary, as well as a very vigilant media. So with the emergence of all these various centers of power, I think this time it will be very difficult for the powers that be to massively rig elections. Of course, there is no 100% transparency, but still, I think I certainly expect these elections to be the most transparent and the most free. However, there are still elements which may cause trouble. There's a security situation which is quite bad, and there are a number of other factors which may affect it. But generally, I think the elections will be quite fair.
Okay, that's. What about you, Shaka? Do you think election happening in the very first instance and then free and fair?
Yes, of course. We are on the hope that elections are going to happen, and that's why we are preparing for the same. But again, Adnan is saying very rightly exactly that this time the things are very changed, and the good thing is that the election commission is taking steps. These steps are very good and the very right step, and other thing is that all other departments like judiciary department and as well as the army, they have already said this thing that they have their complete cooperation for this election. So all these things are going in a very right way, and yes, we can expect this time that there will be a fair elections. But again, when the change is coming, so many people who are not ready for this change, definitely they are going to having trouble a lot for this thing. So as far as these, our expectation for the fair elections are there, but of course there are so many things are also there which are really thankful, and they'll have to take so many further steps to make it clean and fair, of course.
Okay, Adnan, you mentioned earlier the center of power and the media, judicial process. And I mean, do you think it is they're extracting the power to themselves as well? For example, Article 62, 63, and I will talk to you about it in more detail.
Yes, exactly. I mean, my reading of the situation is that this newly found power is, all these silly questions being asked from the politicians and the aspirant candidates is sort of a projection of the power that the election commission and therefore the returning officers now have, and the sort of proactive role they want to play. And don't forget the role of media, because when media plays up all these questions and puts it on 9 o'clock news, then that gives sort of, a claim to fame to a number of people, and brings about their self emancipation, and it's one day glory basically. That's all it is. But nevertheless, it does shows a certain shift in the power dynamics in the country, and it certainly shows that the election commission, media, judiciary itself is now potent.
They are exercising and portraying their power. Okay,
exactly.
Shakir, have you seen this exercise of power when you were filing your nomination papers? Tell us your experiences.
And today it was a today's incident even, when I filed a paper a week before, and today there was a scrutiny process. But to be very honestly speaking, I didn't see any such silly questions asking from them at all, and it was a very clear thing. And they were really working on this thing, and they were ensuring this thing that the person who is going to contest for the election, who should be capable of doing this thing. And Article 62, 63 you were discussing about, yes, definitely they were very much concerned about this article as well. But you see, there are so many ambiguities in this article as well, because on just one interview, you cannot assess anybody that how much he is honest, how much he is really religious, and all these things. There are so many things like you have heard about these silly questions as well. But thanks to God that again the court has taken a step and these things have stopped now. But yes, power is there, and this thing really did change, because you see, when I was going for this scrutiny process, I was thinking twice that exactly what questions can be asked and what will be the position and what exactly the situation will be. So similarly, so many other people who really, I believe that who doesn't have capability, definitely they will think so many times before they are going for the scrutiny. When media is there and everything is there, they will really think about this thing. So this thing is really making change and for giving power to them. Of course, few people are making wrong things for these powers, but again, the power is good for them right now for the scrutiny purpose, very first step, and then again their investigation purposes and all these things. It's good, of course.
Okay, but Adnan, what is your view on this? That who will define these powers and who will define this? If you're religious, if you're honest, and if what is your character, who will define these? In the case of Ayaz Mir, you have seen it.
I think, well, first of all, it's the question of semantics more than substance, I think, in this particular episode, because I expect, most of the nomination papers to be eventually accepted. Some returning officers did try to, as I said earlier, sort of, get a one-day glory out of it and just make a name for themselves, probably. But I mean, basically, returning officers cannot be judge, jury, and the executioner. They cannot. I don't think that they have the mandate to actually question anyone on their faith or beliefs, or to judge anyone for that matter. And that is a sole purview of the courts, and only if a court gives a verdict, a definite verdict against someone, and one is convicted, only then one can, declare them in violation to Article 62 or 63, in my view. So that's one thing. But secondly, yes, I mean, it is definitely a projection of the extended power now that the Election Commission holds. And
so is it a good thing that they?
No, not necessarily, because one thing also which one can see from these episodes is that how much this overt religiosity or acceptance of the doctrine which was given by General Ziaul Haq in 80s, how much that has seeped into the society, and this whole generation today has brought up virtually thinking that, overt religiosity, and equates it with piety, and being a good human, or a good Muslim is equated with, the religious symbolism and dogma. So I think that is quite alarming. But structurally, I think, well, of course there are all these concerns in this process, but overall, it's still a net positive, because one would like to have an election commission which is powerless, which is powerful, rather than the one which is toothless. So despite these few episodes, I think overall things are still
So
going in the
you
right
think
direction.
it's a positive change which is happening in
Yeah,
Pakistan?
also because, yes, Ayaz Amir's nomination papers were rejected, but then it initiated a debate, which is always good and healthy for a society, to think about what is ideology of Pakistan, what is sort of treason. As you mentioned, Maulana Ludhianvi, people would mention Musharraf, Pervez Musharraf, who even the court has declared that he did sort of violated the constitution twice, but may still be standing in the election. So all of this debate would not have been initiated had these episodes not happened. So I think there are some unintended benefits as well of these, I would say, sorry episodes.
Okay, Shakir, tell us that
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing about this thing, the answer. You see, if you read the Article 62, there are some ambiguities in it as well. See, if I just read it, it's the section that he's of good character and is not commonly known as one who is worried Islamic injections. Fine. This maybe you can just have a something with his proposal as secondary and you can go for this thing. But again, if he has an adequate knowledge of Islamic teachings and practice, again, this is a question mark that how you are going to exactly judge this thing that he has Islamic teaching and what exactly the parameters you are going for the judgment of the thing.
And if,
Fine,
if,
these
if,
are
if
really the
especially
problems.
like in
No,
your
see,
case, if especially like in your case as well, that if you follow a different school of jurisprudence as well, that you follow a different fiqh, and they ask you a question which
exactly.
is not according to their fiqh, then where do you
Yeah,
stand?
I don't see because you see in this case they are taking care of this thing, of course, that they are asking the questions exactly what the contestant is believing and all these things. But again, you see, this is the very first time we are doing this thing, so I should say that we are in learning process. Though it's very late because we have started learning very late again, but at least we have started learning. And when we started learning, so we should have give privileges that okay, so mistakes can be done, these things will be improved by time. So there should be one step to start, of course, and that we have done, alhamdulillah, and
Okay.
that's a good change, of course.
Okay, Adnan, tell us, do you think religion should govern state, or state should govern religion?
Well, first of all, what is absolutely essential for a nation state is to be absolutely neutral and to be a neutral arbitrator between various religious, sectarian, or ethnic groups which may exist in a country. Now, that is absolutely critical. State cannot take a side, because if that happens, then, especially in a country like Pakistan, which is multi-ethnic, multicultural, and which is so diverse, you're gonna end up with problems. So, of course, in a country where Muslims are in large majority, of course, there's got to be some inspiration from the Islamic laws or Islamic history, which will eventually translate into legislation and so on. But there's a difference between doing that, and there's a difference between having a theocratic state which gives disproportionate power to the religious figures, and where, as we've seen throughout European history, the kind of power that Pope and the Catholic Church enjoyed. So that sort of thing I don't see happening in Pakistan, despite many people's desire, and which, in my view, should not also happen. In my view, the state should be a neutral arbitrator. It should not have itself, it should not be a partisan or take any sides, but should actually regulate the society in a way where diversity is accepted and everyone accepts other people's faith and live in harmony. That, in a multicultural society like Pakistan, is the only way to survive.
Okay, Shakir, you tell us when you see, I mean, especially being in Pakistan, and obviously you're contesting from an area which is in Karachi, and we have seen the recent bombing in Karachi and the law and order situation. Do you feel safe to be a Shia Muslim candidate and presenting your point of view across the board?
Yes, you see, what exactly Hassan was saying, I totally agree with him that it should be a neutral one, but the government should be the neutral. But again, the basic principles of Islam are all equal for all religions, all faiths, basically. They are the basic principles, and that basic principle should rule, of course, yes, because we are the religious country, we are Islamic country here, and for the Islamic country, governance should be the Islamic state, of course, should be there, and of course, yes, the neutralization should be there, and the basic principle should be taking side of any one fake or any one group is really a dangerous, and that happened in last 5 years here, and you saw so many sectarian killings and all these Shia killings were there, and believe me that when I was going for this election, there was so much pressure from my family side as well. They were so much afraid that yeah, you're going to, you know the situation exactly it is, and you are going to kill very immediately, and all these things were there. So definitely, there is the situation, and to overrule these situations, to mitigate these things, really we need to come forward. You see, if we are standing outside and we are hoping to have something good, it's not possible. So we have to come, of course, we have to come on ground level, we have to work, and we have to show people that these things are not good things, and the basic principles are same. And we never had before this thing. This thing happened very few years before. All these things go on very extreme side. So I'm sure that people are started realizing this thing, have started realizing this thing, and things will be changing, of course, inshallah.
But do you think it is about to happen or it will happen? Because, I mean, from a.
You see, it's about to happen. Saying it's very difficult. It's about to happen, of course, because every change it doesn't mean that every time we are going for the change and it changes automatically and 100%. It takes time, of course. But the good thing is that we have taken step forward. We are sure that once we have taken step forward, then definitely the main destination will be there, of course. No matter, it will take time, but it will be there.
So you
But
are
if we are
positive
not
about.
taking a step forward, then definitely there will be no destination.
Okay, Adnan, let me ask you this: that I mean, he is being in Pakistan. He's been positive about the whole political process, but there is also some of the analysts I was reading about. They say that Indus is dividing actually the ideology of Pakistan now. That one is a very firebrand mullahs, and the other side is more secular, liberalized. Do you think it is happening in Pakistan? There are two
Yeah,
different
well,
versions.
I think there's a lot of polarization. There's a lot of polarization. There's no doubt about it. There is, of course, a lot of religious extremism, and we have seen, what has happened through different terror incidents of terrorism and sectarian violence, and everything else that's been going on. But I think people will have to sort of realize that the only vehicle which can accommodate interests of different groups is democracy. So as long as there's a parliament, there are people who are representing the will of the people there, and they are taking collective decisions, chances are few that the country as a whole will go in a wrong direction, as opposed to a handful of people, technocrats, a handful of technocrats, or a military dictator running the roost. So I think as long as Pakistan can actually stick to a pluralistic, democratic system, doesn't matter how much flawed it may be,
But
and
this
even
is
if
the
it's
very
flawed.
first time, I mean, we are experiencing some democracy in Pakistan after like 63 years. Isn't that
Well,
a
yeah,
bit
that's the
late?
case because many people just conceive democracy as a state of governance. It's actually not. It's a process. It's a process which has started, and as it moves along, it will start giving benefits to the people. it's a process, and yes, it is flawed at the moment. There are various flaws in it. It may not be delivering to the people in accordance with their expectations, but as the process moves along, it will improve. And I always say that, if there are flaws in democracy, the solution is more democracy, not less democracy. So the more power devolves to the people, there should be horizontal and vertical devolution of power. More people's sort of input gets into decision making. The collective will of the people will take the country towards a better future. That's the whole point. So as long as this process
But
continues,
I mean, in your version of democracy, these political dynasties, do they exist? Or it's a
well,
must-have for Pakistani or South Asian countries?
yeah, but the thing is, yeah, that's the thing. As long as people vote, then people's mandate should be accepted. People's mandate should be respected. Doesn't matter who they vote for. Any sort of unconstitutional method to get rid of anything will always yield wrong results. As you saw, Pervez Musharraf, when he took over in 1999, he, put both Benazir Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif in exile. But what happened in 2008? Both of those parties, they were, they swept polls collectively, and they were back in power, and the dynasty is as strong as it was. So I think, sometimes you have to leave it to the people. When they will evolve, there are a number of demographic and socio-economic changes that Pakistan is going through. There's a middle class that is emerging. There are increasing challenges to the scions of these political dynasties to continue, getting a grip on the power as their older generation has. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has taken a good step by conducting elections in their own party. This all is adding pressure. And so, this natural organic growth will ultimately, decide the fate of dynastic politics. And this is how it should be, rather than any sort of surgical operation, either by election commission or by
So
military or by any technocrat.
it's more about evolution. And Shakib, what do you think about being in Pakistan, political dynasties? What is your take on it? I mean, it's a must-have for our society, or is
Yeah, it's definitely it's there, and what exactly I was thinking about, that when we talk about the revolution and all these things, we need to think so many aspects of the thing, and we know this thing that literacy level is in Pakistan is again not improving as it should have been improved. But again, with this level of literacy, even the people have started realizing and all these things. And you see, like PTI very rightly said that they have their own elections inside. And similarly, the good thing is that now the political parties of like PTI and Musharraf and all other political parties have nominated educated people with them. So now the other people like the First Party and Female N, they are really compelled. Now they have become compelled to nominate the good people and educated people again. So this time it's very unfortunately this thing has been all removed, the graduation thing, and now there's no requirement of the graduation. But again, people are not taking it easy, and now political parties are really concentrating that the people they are nominating, they should be educated and their real background and everything. So definitely these things are making contribution towards a good thing, and we can always hope for change. Of course, the time will be there, but we are right. I can say that now we are in a good path,
okay?
inshallah.
Okay, Adnan, before we go to break, last question, and I know that you have taken out your time. International influence. What do you think? What will happen eventually when things will settle down by the end of May or June? How
Well,
Saudi, Iran, and America, China, how they will react to this new setup?
living in an increasingly globalized world, and a number of other countries have concern and interest in whatever happens in Pakistan, and so does Pakistan. It's the same thing. But I think eventually the elections, the fate of the election is going to be decided by endogenous, the local, the domestic factors, as opposed to exogenous factors. And I think with a number of interest groups within the country operating already, yes, there is certain degree of influence from outside, as we saw Pervez Musharraf when he landed in Pakistan. PMLN went completely quiet, so and so on, which is a sign of certain influence and so on. But nevertheless, I don't think the foreign pressure or influence is that much which should play a significant role in the outcome of the polls. I think external players will have to accept whatever is the verdict of people of Pakistan.
So is it a wishful thinking, or it actually will happen?
Well, I think certainly, because a number of international influences are competing as well. They might be pulling political players in various different directions, but the thing is, within Pakistan, it's always, look. I mean, US has always preferred to deal with one person or one institution in Pakistan. Now, when an international player like US has to contend with five different players, automatically, it makes it difficult for them to do so. Now they have to contend with media, they have to contend with judiciary, they have to contend with election commission. So there are multiple players now on the scene operating. There's no one political player who holds all the cards and which they can then deal with. So therefore, I think more devolution of power along vertical lines. When I say vertical lines, I mean devolution of power between legislature, executive, media, judiciary, and so on. And horizontal the devolution of power is along provinces and then to districts and local governments and so on. So when more of that happens, less will be the influence of any particular player, both internal or external. So I don't think it's just wishful thinking. I think the trend is certainly towards that. And when I remember the American Foreign Minister Hillary Clinton visited Pakistan last time, she was heavily criticized, and by the media and so on. And there are still news reports which you can check on Google. And a new Pakistan surprised her. And I'm sure if the things keep on moving in those directions, a lot of external players will get more surprises out of Pakistan.
Okay, thank you very much, Adnan, for joining us. And viewers will take a break now. And when we come back, we will be joined by Midhat Zaidi. And Shakir is already with us. And then we'll talk more about it. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. We are joined by Midhat Zaidi, senior journalist and writer from Islamabad now. She's been working for GEO, PTV World, and she's been working there. So let's ask her, as a journalist, how does she see the upcoming Pakistan elections? So Midhat, tell us, as a journalist, how do you perceive the upcoming elections? Are they going to happen? Are they going to be free and fair?
As of now, we are all hoping that the elections do happen, because if they don't, that will be a big disappointment for everyone, and especially for the youth who's going to vote for the first time. Because, as you know, Pakistan has the largest youth pool that is going to vote for the first time right now. About 60% of the voters are under 30 and under 35 years of age. Mm-hmm. So if these elections do not happen, that will not set a good precedent for somebody who is so enthusiastically participating in election campaigns, and there's a lot of excitement going on right now.
So do you think that do you think these new voters, will they be able to change anything in the status quo?
They might. For now, it seems that they just might bring in another person for another candidate in place of the previous one who's been leading this country for about few decades now. However, if that person or that party, whoever they favor, will be, will be good for Pakistan in many ways, is yet to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and tell us about, the overall, how do you see it happening after another three months, I would say? The overall political setup, will it be a hung parliament, a premier, who will decide it, how it will be decided?
Here in the capital, the general impression is that it will be a hung parliament. Because no party seems to have absolute majority right now, and the vote banks are divided. You see, Punjab has the largest population, but even in Punjab, there is no PMLN ruling anymore. PMLN also shares Punjab vote bank with PTI and PPP in southern Punjab.
Give us a number that these three political forces, how many, in your opinion, as a journalist, that where do they stand in numbers of the 272?
I will not be able to give you an exact number because there is different opinions and different, any party that you advise towards it said it will get about 80 seats. And, but the others also have a claim to get that many. So how could anyone say that this party is going to get this many seats? Right now, it is a mixed situation. There are some people who are some form of loyalist to a party that is older, then they are going to vote for them. They do not care what happens in Pakistan, what happens in their own home, if they have enough to eat or not. I've heard too many people say, vote to Bhutto ka hai, vote is for Bhutto.
Yes.
And they do not care if they earned 100 rupees a day and now they're earning only 10. And the inflation has reached, the inflation has just gone out of the roof. But they would only vote for that party to which they're loyal. So there are a lot of new voters who say that they're going to vote for PTI. And PTI, yes, I can say that PTI is going to take a good margin.
So it will play a role.
PTI, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of role of media, social media, electronic media, how progressive we are in terms of our thinking, or are we able to make any differences in terms of sending the message? These parties have been able to do so.
Don't you think that the people in Pakistan who have access to social media are already those who actually had an opinion before social media existed? They had access to information. These people were not the people who remained in the dark for very long. These people were the same people who actually could access whatever kind of information they thought was good and whatever they wanted to read or to know. So this is the whole overall impact of social media that is debatable. However, it will affect urban youth who is going to vote. And because in the villages, in the rural areas, the people who vote, even if they're young, their choices are dominated by many other factors.
So it will just play a part. It won't be the. Okay, and in terms of this voting,
it is going to play some kind of role in urban voters.
Okay. Well, last thoughts on what is your message to overseas Pakistani in terms of voting rights or their loyalties being questioned by the Supreme Court, and they can't contest elections but they can vote? What is your view on that?
You do know I do a program. I am also working on a program for PTV World. So we just had a debate on the same topic a few days back. The day that the ruling came that over, the day the news came that Naga had developed the software if it could facilitate overseas Pakistanis who wanted to use. So the whole debate revolved around a lot of things, but if I may quote some of the things that people said in that debate, they said that somebody who is voting for Pakistan, that has not lived in Pakistan, has not, has not bear the brunt of the situation that is happening in the country. You only see something that is portrayed through TV or through social media, for instance.
Yes.
How do you think, would you have an idea of the on-ground situation? Because then there was also this debate that, a few new parties have a bigger presence on social media than any others. Even our very own former General Pervez Musharraf, he has the most vibrant social media profile that anyone could ever have. He posts his pictures even when he's working out. So, all these things, they will influence your thinking about your perception of Pakistan and your perception and your inclination towards a certain political party. But how would you know that this certain political party has taken a lot of somersaults during its existence over a decade or over a few years? So, these things would affect the overseas Pakistani vote. Also, somebody who makes a shopping trip to Pakistan, I'm sorry, I'm doing a little bad here, but somebody who makes a shopping trip to Pakistan after 2 years or a year maybe, they don't get to see the real Pakistan. They can't afford an air-conditioned car, they can't afford a generator, they do not have to live in the whole troublesome environment that you face on a day-to-day basis. Somebody who is from a better class, they would have to pass through the same roads, and someday they'd have hurdles and they know that this exists. But in a short span of time that you visited Pakistan, you wouldn't get to know the exact thing. So, not my opinion. I'm being a journalist. I don't have to say that this is my opinion. But these were the salient points that were debated in the program that I conducted.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Medad, for joining us from Islamabad. And we'll go back to Shakir now and ask him more about his own constituency, which is PS 117. Tell us, Shakir, what do you see? What made you even to contest this election?
Okay, Tassin, before us giving answer of this question, I would like to answer a question which you asked last from Adnan about the international influence in Pakistan. To be very honest, I'll little disagree with Adnan's point of view when he said that there is a little influence. No, it's not like that. It's very crystal clear that there's a huge influence, international influence in our country, like US influence. Everyone knows about this thing. And last few months or years, I can say that Saudi influence is also very clear to every people. So these influences are of course there, and we are definitely under these influences. But again, if you see the history, you will see very easily this thing that any country influencing to other country, it's very difficult for them. It becomes very difficult for them when their own people, the influenced country people, are awake and they are going for the revolution and everything. So it becomes difficult for them. It's very difficult for them to influence all these things. So definitely, we cannot expect that the revolution will come in US and the government will change and then they will not influence our country. definitely, if we want to reduce this influence, we'll have to work our own. And this exactly people are now understanding. So things accordingly will change, inshallah.
Okay,
And
from you, I mean,
then
from
your
your
in
profile,
next.
that moving on from there, from your profile, I can see that you've been training as a chartered accountant. And so, what made you think that you should be contesting an election rather
Yeah.
than being a chief financial officer somewhere?
That's fine. I'm working, alhamdulillah, as a chief financial officer. But the thing is that I was involved in social work for so long in this area, and I don't know, it's good to say here or not, but you know this thing that the last few years, the secretarial killings were there, and so many political parties were involved in it. It was proved in the media as well that so many political parties were involved, and we saw that these parties were really assuming this thing that the whole Shia is dependent on them. So it was really a need of time that we should show our own stand, and we should make them realize that no, sorry, the Shia is not dependent on you, of course. We have our own power, and if we want to come forward, then we can always. And for this thing and this realization really felt that before there are so many votes of Shia were divided in so many other political parties, but now everyone has decided this thing that no, we are not going for these parties because they have done nothing for us in last few years. So this realization really gives me hope as well that if we are going to fight with this thought and everything with this power of people. So then in this area, I think we can go for this thing because as this PS117 has a very good background as well, and in 2002 we showed a very good strength as well at that time. So these are the many one of the reasons out of many other reasons that we decided to go
So
elections.
basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to connect these 30 to 40 million Shia peoples and trying to bring them under the banner of the Majlis Wahdat al-Muslimin. So do you
Yes,
see?
exactly. And SQC is working as well with us, and it's all decided that we are not going to work against, of course, each other. And where SUC thinks that their representative should be there, so definitely their representative will be working there. So not only the Majlis Wahdatul Muslimin, but we are right now working for the Shia, and we are not going for anyone's flag, and we don't want to go for this political thing in at least in Shia form. And what we exactly need is that Shia as a whole nation should stand and should give their strength in front, and they should make other people realize who were thinking before that Shia is not working here or something like that. So this exactly was very, very important for us now to show our stand and show our exactly existence here.
But on the practical, on the ground realities, what do you think? Will you be able to even manage? Because this vote is split all over the Pakistan. I mean, there are
Yeah,
parliamentarians
agree.
from all big political parties who are Shia Muslims, and they have been in the parliament, but not on a religious platform.
Yeah, I know that. So see, this is the exactly thing. And now, what exactly we have the motive? Number one, any party which is very obviously working against Shia for last few years, that party should not have so easy way to go in the parliament. Number one, in any area of the Pakistan. Secondly, of course, our existence should be there. So now we are working with other parties who we think that they are working with us and we have a good synergy with them, like PTI, like Sunni Tehreek. These all are people, they are always cooperative with us in the last few years, and they were always with us in all these incidents and everywhere. So we are working with them and we are going for the adjustments with them. So by making these adjustments, we are hopeful, yes, now we are in a position that we can go for some seats at least.
Okay. Now tell us.
Or if we are not going for the seat even, let me complete one thing more. Say if we are not going for any seat, so it makes a lot of difference in all these scenarios.
What do you see happening in terms of, give us numbers? Parliament um, taking parliamentarians taking oath in May 2013. How many seats to what groups? How can you see this? Can you project?
To be very honest, if the elections are fair and everything goes okay, then I can see, yes, I agree with Medad as well that there will be a hang parliament, of course.
Mhm.
And because you see, People's Party, what they have performed last, it has really impacted a very bad on their all rapport and everything. Though the feudal system is there, of course, they will save few seats and everything. But say if I'm just asking for the Sindh as well. But Sindh, there were People's Party and MQM were making government, and there was no at all the position was there.
Mhm.
But now the situation will be different. Of course, People's Party has their roots in Sindh, and it is very difficult to mitigate this factor that they are not going to win any seats and all like this. MQM has, of course, the seats in every rural areas. So what exactly will be the position is this: if suppose the Sindh government is being made by People's Party and MQM even, but there will be a very strong opposition this time, I'm sure.
Okay.
Similarly, if we go for the Punjab, of course, the PM Nawaz has worked a lot in these sectors, and they have worked for these infrastructures and everywhere. But again, PTI is going very good there. So again, PM Nawaz, I don't see that they can make a very easy government there. If they are going to make the government again, there will be a very
Strong
positive,
opposition. Okay,
strong
moving to
opposition will be
KPK.
there. Sorry.
Moving to KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. What do you think?
Yeah.
What is
Khyber
happening there?
Pakhtunkhwa, again, you see, there I don't see as much as big change there because again there's a tribal system and all these were there.
Mhm.
And but still PTI I can see that they
PTC
can make change
will
over
play.
there
And
as
what
well.
about Balochistan?
Yeah.
And then we want to move on to the federal government as well.
Balochistan again I can see the things are changing there as well.
And the
And
nationalists
in
will be
Balochistan,
taking.
of course, I can see very well there will be an hang parliament. And
Okay.
now let's come for the main government of Pakistan as the National Assembly elections. Then again I can see a very clear hang parliament there.
Okay. So
It will
what
be
do you
very
think?
difficult for one party to rule, of course.
So who will play? Who will balance this power?
Well, there are so many parties are there. You see, there are main. If you just see PM and Nawaz, People's Party, MQM, and so many other parties like PTI now and Jamaat Islami. So all these will be a complete mixture of the government somehow exactly.
But they are at loggerheads. I mean, they don't even want to sit together, but they have to sit it. And then, what do you think? Who
See,
will
we
be the
have a
premier?
very
Who will
good
be the kingmaker? Just name some individuals
We-
for me if you can.
And of course, this is it's too early to give any name for the kingmaker or something like that.
Okay.
But again, but again, you see, things are changing,
So things are
and
changing for
we
better.
hope that, say for example, if we are going to have again a same people, but still, it will be a good path for the next one.
Okay.
Well, you see, we are going for the good, inshallah.
So it's more about
And,
transition.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shaki, for joining us from Karachi. Viewers, in today's episode, we have spoken to Adnan Rafiq, Shakir Rojani, and Midhat Zaidi, and people from different spectrum, and they all at least acknowledge one thing, that it is leading towards a hung parliament, but still it is a process. It is a positive process, and it will take this country forward, not in the opposite direction. It will lead to a pluralist society which will be able to adjust different aspects and different communities within one country. Shia organizations like Majlis Wahdatul Muslimin is contesting elections. It's a very good news for the Shia voters. However, we have to see that those voters which have spread all across Pakistan, how will they vote? And it is about the people of Pakistan who have to decide their fate in these upcoming elections. With this prayer and dua, as always, गम हमको न दे कोई सिवाय गम शब्बीर, शब्बीर का गम बांट रहा है तो इधर दे। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मदिन व आले मुहम्मद।